Yo, welcome back to the Firefall. I hope you are doing good. And it's the new year, and I cannot find my glasses. And I almost started recording this thing without the memory card and the camera. Do those two things have anything related to what I'm talking about today? No, not in any way. Just sad. Here are my glasses because I actually have no idea where they are. I have no idea where to start looking for them. But yeah. So it's the new year, yeah. So it's the new year, and we all have goals for this new year. We all have what's the word for it again? I always forget this word. Resolutions, yes. We all have new resolutions. Or for some of us, it's a thing of we are carrying over the ones from last year and we are bringing them into this new year, which is completely fine. For some people, we are trying to start new habits, or we are trying to get rid of old habits, or we are just trying to be a better all-round person. And the honest truth is that most people won't accomplish these goals. Most people won't get to the end of these goals, or won't see these goals come to life. Why? Not because they weren't able to do it, but because they never started, or it was just too big of a task for them, or to them, or in their heads. Generally just because they thought it was too big. And this is because of, at the beginning of the year, we always feel that, well, we have 365 days. I think this year is 366. This is a leap year, right? I think this is a leap year. Well, we have 365 days, and then we can set as big as a goal we want, because this is 300 plus days. We should be able to accomplish these goals. And then it would be December 21st, and you would realize that you did not accomplish any goal that you set out to do this year, or you did not accomplish some of them, or most of them, or none of them. Yeah. And then you start to feel sad, and then the next year something happens over and over and over and over and over and again. Yeah. And then the reason for this happening sometimes is because we think the goals are too big for us. And it is not a conscious effort, because we set it by ourselves. We set this goal by ourselves. So we thought we could do it here, but subconsciously we thought these goals were too big for us. Yeah. And there are very simple ways to get over this. Not very simple ways, but there's a very simple way to get over this. And it's a thing of setting little milestones for ourselves. So let's say your goal this year is to be making $1 million every month, or to be able to do 70 push-ups in a row, or be able to read 3 books in 1 month, whatever it is. Yeah, the best way to go about it is not just to, I was going to pray 1 hour straight every day. The best way to go about this is not just the first day, just start praying 1 hour. I promise you, and before, the next day just start praying 1 hour, and then before you didn't even pray up to 5 minutes, and then you want to start praying 1 hour. Yeah, I promise you will do it the first day. You most likely would do it the first day. Probably do it the second day. Probably do it the third day too. But after that, you would probably not do it again for a very long time. Why? Because your body hadn't gotten used to it. It had not become a habit of yours. Yeah. So the best way to go around this, to go around setting our big goals, or to go around or accomplishing our big goals, or our new habits, or stopping our old habits, is to take it one step at a time. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Yeah, so if your goal is to make $1 million every month, and you're completely broke right now, start by making $100 every month. Or start very little, start very small, make it a constant habit, and then pick up from there. You start very small to make it a habit to yourself, then you increase the number. If your goal is to be able to do 70 push-ups every day, start with 5 push-ups every day, or start with 10 push-ups every day, and be consistent with it first before you expand it. Because if you just jump into it initially, I promise you would fail. Yeah, and a pastor talked about this today, Pastor Aaron. I saw a short about it on Instagram today, and he was talking about prayer. Yeah, and he says there's that, for example, when you go to the gym, I'm using the exact same example he used. So, like when you go to the gym, you are not fit because of you did 100 push-ups that day, or you benched 350 pounds that day, or 120 kilograms, whatever it is, or you benched whatever that particular day. That does not make you fit in any way. That the fitness comes from you being consistent in it. You go into the gym the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. And it is the same thing with our prayer life, and it is the same thing with every other thing here. For example, with our prayer lives now, we can set a goal of, let's say, praying 1 hour every day, and then once we hit that 1 hour mark in our head, we have gotten to this goal, but we are not yet consistent in it. And over time, we would stop praying that long because in our head, we have gotten to our ideal goal here. It is a thing of you have to be consistent in it first. Even if your goal is to be reading one book every month or to be reading consistently here, if you don't make reading a habit here, and then you just speedrun reading a book like the last 3 days of the month or like last 5 days of the month, I promise you the next month you probably would not do that again, or the next 2 months. You have to be consistent first before you think of making it a big goal. If your goal is to work more this year, be consistent in regularly working 4 hours every day, or 6 hours every day, or 8 hours straight every day, or 12 hours straight every day if you don't like yourself. Be consistent in working 30 minutes every day, consistent in working 1 hour every day. Then you increase it. You have to be consistent first. There's victory in your victory lies in consistency. You have to be consistent, and then you build from there. Consistency like the foundation, and then you put the bricks on there. You expand it. You expand your foundation. You do expand foundations. Well, you get what I'm trying to say. You expand on the basis. You build your basis on consistency, and then you build up from there. And yeah, even if it's a thing of breaking unhold habits. Okay, that sounds good. Sure. If it's not about breaking an old habit, yeah, you don't necessarily have to think of, let's say you have an habit of gambling or porn or drinking, whatever it is, yeah. You don't go, okay, so I'll go 1 month of not drinking, or I'll go 1 month of not watching porn, or I'll go 1 month of not masturbating, or I'll go 1 month of not gambling, yeah. I promise you would fail. You have to go with, okay, I mean, depending on how terrible on how big, terrible, or how serious, that's the word, on how serious your addiction is. You have to go, okay, so I won't watch porn for 1 day, or for 2 days, or for 3 days. And at the end of your short term, yeah, celebrate. Like, congratulate yourself that, I made it I made it 1 full day without watching porn, without gambling, without drinking. I made it 2 full days. I made it 3 full days. Celebrate the little wins. Because sometimes we get stuck up on the big wins, on the big achievements, that we forget that those little wins help us. Those little wins, even though the dopamine hits they'll give us are very tiny, it does do something for us here. So celebrate your little wins. Celebrate your little milestones. Celebrate it. Celebrate everything. That they are called milestones for a reason. They are not the final goal. They are just a step in the ladder to wherever you are getting to. So follow them little by little. Celebrate the little wins. Celebrate your little wins, and sometimes your little losses. Because sometimes you would fail. Sometimes whatever it is, sometimes you would not achieve it. Yeah. And whenever those little losses happen, it's fine. Dust yourself. Get back up. And keep pushing, keep going after the small wins, and over time you would realize that you have gotten to this spot where you did not even know you had gotten to. Yeah, it is the same thing with building a new skill. Let's say you are starting. Okay, let's take me for example. I'm a 3D artist here, and at the beginning of my journey, of course, what I made was crap. I was terrible. Yeah. Okay, I won't call them terrible, but you can't compare it to where I am now. Yeah. And the honest truth is that while I was making art, and it's the same thing like drawing, like 2D art or whatever it is, yeah. When you start out, you would not see your growth. You might see them very tiny, but you would not see them. You don't realize that you just keep making art after art after art, piece after piece after piece after piece. And then months down the line or years down the line, you look back and you compare your two works and you're like, oh, I am actually getting better at this thing, or I have actually grown at this thing. And it's the same thing with habits. It's the same thing with everything in life. It is the same thing. Yeah, consistency. You have to be consistent first before you can be as grand or as big as you want to be, or as good as you want to be. You have to build a habit of consistency first before you venture out into capitalism. Sorry, that was a joke in my head. But before you venture out into whatever it is, before you build up and read 12 books a month, you have to be reading one page every day. Get? Yeah. I'll see you again next week. Peace.